Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network channel on YouTube. I'm your host, Mr. Prime Real Estate, Ric Davis.
And I'm your host, the Texas Real Estate King, Larry W. Brooks.
Every week, the King and I will provide you exclusive access to our network of lenders, investors, and real estate professionals from both the commercial and residential real estate sectors.
Now, are you millionaire minded? Or maybe you're a millionaire in the making? Make sure that you subscribe so you can get connected to the network. And always remember, the Prime Real Estate Network, where millionaires are in the making.
Create wealth for generations. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network podcast. I'm your host, Ric Davis. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I invite you to do so at Prime Real Estate Ric. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential or commercial real estate anywhere in the great state of Texas, but especially here in our lovely city of Houston, I urge you to reach out to me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Ric. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this week, just like it is every week for the podcast. And I want to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in. Big, huge shout out to the Texas Real Estate King, LarryWBrooks, who's away on assignment. But as I promised you last week, we have a very exciting co-host. You had a chance to see him co-host with me last week. I'm really excited to have him back. He is Coach John Austin. I want to thank him for being a co-host, and I would like to welcome him to the show.
Brother, how's it going?
Hey, man, we back, man. We back for part two, man. Hey, look, I appreciate you assisting me in being a man of my word. I promised everybody you'll be back. They was very interested in hearing more from you and everyone at Austin Business Strategy. So, Coach, man, thank you for sitting in. I hope we had a great time last week because I'm so excited about the guests we have set up for this week.
I am too. It's awesome to be here for sure, and especially doing this in real time and bringing some real value to the people, man. And today's guest, I'm excited. I got my notepad ready as well.
Hey, man, of course, I follow you on social media, and everyone who had a chance to meet you last week is following you in as well. But for those who are meeting you for the first time, Coach, you just fill them in of what's been going on with you in the last week, what's been going on at Austin Business Strategy, and some of the cool things that you have in the works.
Yeah, so this last week has been interesting because we had kind of a week off, if you will. But I was actually in Arizona at the Super Bowl there. But prior to going to the Super Bowl, I was actually able to meet with a client out there, and it's good to do business in a space where we hear about write-offs with the Super Bowl and things of that nature. But if you really have clients you can meet with away from your home city and take your brand outside of, say, Houston, Texas, so be able to do that, meet with a client in real time, build some things up, bring a few clients on board on that VIP level that we have and start to grow those brands. And dropped a little gem last week about buying an existing business, and one of our clients is doing that. As a matter of fact, she's buying an existing insurance company. So it's real valuable. And when I leave here, I'm headed down to the Port of Houston and audit that class and work with those guys. So it's a lot of good things going on, man. A lot of good.
No, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, Coach, because in your experience, have you noticed that business negotiations and business meeting and strategizing business partnerships works easier, or it's less anxiety when you move it from your hometown to another venue or another area where it might be something like the Super Bowl? Have you noticed that business meetings in that type of environment have a different feel than having them traditionally like you would here in Houston in your office?
I'll be honest, I have probably 60%, if not 70% of our clients aren't in Houston.
Right.
Yeah, so they'll see us on social. People, you almost have to take the map of the U.S. and just chalk out all the state lines because people are where they are. And
Right.
To meet them where they are, it's exciting to be in a new place. If they're excited to welcome you in,
Yes.
You're excited to go there. Business is still business. You can do a lot of moving around. I really like it. I love Houston. Don't get me wrong. I'm originally from Louisiana, so I love going back and forth. But being able to do business elsewhere and take advantage of that time, man, it's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I can only imagine that it's an extra jolt of energy. It adds a little extra pep and excitement when you have a road trip, especially a business road trip, man, because it just adds so much. There's so much more anticipation, and you make more efficient use of your time when you're on a business road trip as well.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, we got road trips planned for the future. We got events that we plan on doing in Atlanta, and I'm looking at Palm Beach, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. So it's exciting. You do have to optimize your time and you be real efficient. But it's one thing to have those business boardroom meetings, then a little golf, a little outing later on. But you're still doing business because you're still getting to know the person. And it's easy to do that. You can get so much done in a matter of 2-3 days that you probably couldn't do over months of conversations on the phone. So I really like it. I've cut my teeth in that long. I mean, I've been at this 17 years now. So before we got on this kind of a network, everything was face to face. So you have to flight to go meet somebody to really show them who you were and to sit in somebody's lobby half a day, meet them for lunch. It's where business should be. And now that we're outside, folks really wanting to take that networking to another level. That's a good way to do it. Face to face, nothing like it.
Hey, man, I agree totally. And I urge everyone in our audience to take advantage of that information and add it to their business tool belt. If you don't have any business road trips planned or any events or marketing opportunity outside of your home market, like Coach Austin said, I would urge everyone to look into it and take that show on the road because like you said before, Coach, it's a big world out there and technology, social media, the internet has erased some of those boundaries. So we all need to widen our scope, widen our vision, and try to take the world by storm.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And take advantage of it because the time now, we're in a recessive market, right? So people's needs have gotten more magnified. So if you can, how can I say, cure someone's ails, especially in a market like this, once the smoke clears, you're still there. You're the person
Yes.
that helped them get through that down market. And word of mouth is very effective when you're face to face. Because the person may ask, well, have you worked with this person? Oh, no, they came down to meet me. We did this, we did that. I see how they move in real time. And you can really shine in that space.
Man, I thank you so much for not only giving us the value of your experience, but also sharing some of these behind the scenes tidbits that those who aren't intimately partnering with you may not get an opportunity to learn about or things that they may not absolutely have a chance to notice because sometimes when you're in the forest you can't see every tree. So I appreciate you so much for everything that you do for not only this podcast, Coach, but for everyone that you work with, man. This week's guest is one of the brightest shining lights in the title community. And the great thing about having her on the show this week, and I'll introduce her shortly, is that she's going to provide our audience with the keys to build their real estate business, their mortgage lending business, or their real estate investment business and take it to that next level so that if you aren't $1 million producer, you can become one. If you're $1 million producer, you can become a $20 million producer. So today's show is entitled The Investor's Guide, How the Right Title Partner Can Make You Millions. I want to thank her so much for her time. This week's guest is the Vice President of Business Development with NPR Title LLC. I want to thank her for sitting in with us, and I'd like to introduce Miss Tomi Moore. How are you, ma'am?
Hey, I'm good. How y'all doing?
Appreciate you so much for sitting in. We out here, Tomi. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
First things first, for those members of our audience that are being introduced to Miss Tomi Moore for the first time, please introduce yourself, NPR Title, and the things that you ladies are doing over there on a regular basis because you're doing some great things.
I really appreciate it. All right, well, I'm Tomi Moore. I'm based here in Dallas. But we love Houston. We love Houston. Jerry and I both went to U of H, so we're very familiar. Yeah.
Go Cougs!
Go Cougs! Right, but I'm Tomi Moore. I'm originally from Longview, Texas. Went to country girl. Yeah, so my accent is different right now. I call back home and my accent changes.
Well, give them a Go Lobos for everybody in Longview.
Go Lobos.
Represent. You know what it is out here.
All right, but NPR Title. We're headquartered in Plano with offices in Arlington. We have 2 offices in Houston and a fee office in downtown Dallas.
And, I want to make sure I give you ladies over at NPR Title your kudos here from the very beginning. It is so impressive to see how NPR Title has grown and how ladies like yourself and the rest of the team over there have done such great things to build it. Can you just share with our audience how fulfilling it is to be a part of a a woman-led, minority-owned title company in a city as large and as thriving as Dallas-Fort Worth?
The only thing I can think of is it's refreshing, because I've worked in corporate majority of my life, and I've had to be somebody else. I can be myself here. And being myself, meaning I can, if I have ideas, I can bring those ideas to the table. If I see something that's prohibiting us from growing, I can put those ideas on the table without them being shot down. We all sit at the table, and, we all have a piece of this ownership. Like the owner, Jerry, says, this is your baby too. How can we grow it?
Right. As I was researching NPR Title, one of the great things about your organization is that you are equally focused on servicing real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, real estate investors, and those who just want to buy and sell real estate.
Exactly.
My question for you is, where did that multi-pronged focus start? And how have you found that you're able to provide a myriad of services to realtors that they didn't even consider that you would be able to partner with them?
Well, our slogan, NPR, is making partners in real estate. Like the business is reciprocal. Like we can't grow our business without you growing yours. Now you hear my country coming out. Trying to talk all proper, but nobody can grow without the other person, without the other partner. And so we like to tend to, divide our focus. We give you equal amount of focus based on your needs. And especially with my role as business development, let's talk about your goals. What were your numbers last year? Bring those. I want to see your numbers. I don't care that you did 13 deals. I don't care that you did 14 deals. Let's look at your overall numbers. I talk to them like a sales manager. Let's make sure that your business is moving forward as you would like for them to move. We're going to move I don't watch football, but we're going to move the chain. We're going to get to the.
Right. Well, you are from Longview, so I know you have seen some football.
Not to say I don't know football, I just don't watch it.
Right, I understand. No,
but we like to keep that equal focus, and especially with working with real estate agents, because that's where our bread and butter comes from. Just helping them to realize that that is their business, and we help them to really focus and do the things that they need to do to grow their business.
Absolutely, Coach. I know me and you had a chance to discuss some things about today's show offline, and you had a very interesting point that you wanted to bring up on the air, and I wanted to give you a chance to present that to Ms. Moore at this time.
Ms. Moore, pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too, Coach.
Yes, indeed. I've been in real estate since I was a kid, so I've had a chance to see those relationships grow, my grandfather and all that, and still take it to this day. From your perspective, real estate professionals, realtors, builders, etc., what is it that one thing you could tell us that real estate professionals don't know about that title company relationships that they probably need to, that can help them scale their businesses over time? Because there's a lot that we see title where you go to title and close, get your money wired, et cetera, and then you're done. Right. Or title search me. But what's one thing that the real estate professionals watching, like, oh, I can do that with the title company? I didn't realize they did all of that. Enlighten us a little, please.
Well, it's still that word partner, right? We're your partner. Let me know what you need. What are you lacking? And whatever that you're lacking, I can fulfill that void. One of my passions is artificial intelligence. There are tools and resources out here to help agents, not even folks who don't like to get on social media. They can automate their processes. They can automate, email campaigns. They can automate so many different things that help them to be able to focus in other areas. So when you come to NPR Title, you're getting our passion. What have we seen? What works? What doesn't work? Number one, we throw complaints out of the window. We're going to find a solution to help you reach your goals. Anytime someone has a partnership with a title company, it shouldn't be about what type of financial, what type of other type of benefits that they can give them. Like, oh, can you host an event? Can you take me to lunch? No, you need to help my bottom line. And if they can't help your bottom line, then that's not a partner for you. Yes, we're all out here scrambling for the same business because it's a promulgated state. So the fees are set by the state. We're not making up any fees. So
Right.
it's already set. But those relationships that you have with your title, especially business development, ask that business development person, what can you do? What are the things that you've seen in your business, especially with other real estate agents, that help them to be number one? And that's information that I share all of the time. All of the
So you're a
time.
title company that does AI and business development?
Well, because I
I
love
love it.
AI, I share what I know. Yeah.
Right.
So yes, we do it all.
Beautiful.
Coach, when I was doing my research into NPR and checking you out online and seeing some of the activities and things that you've done in the past, one of the things that I was most impressed with is that you are a true connector. You and your organization does a great job of bringing clients, realtors, and lenders all in the same room. And my question for you is that something that you've always been a natural connector? Or is that something that just goes along with the service packages you provide at NPR Title? Because I wasn't aware of how often you partner with lenders. And there are lenders that's in our audience that check out the pod. So just for those lenders out there, let them know what they're missing because they don't hang out with you.
Right. Well, that's typically, I actually met with a lender yesterday who wants to partner to have an event for the summer. And because he's been watching, how I move around, whether I'm in Houston. I was in Florida just my birthday weekend last weekend.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I met with some commercial developers, and they want to do business with us here in Texas. And it's because of those relationships. But the particular agent that I met with yesterday, like, he wants to have an event, not only for marketing, but so he can attract business, let people know what he does. And it's because he's seen me do it time and time again with other agents or other lenders. Having that partnership with the title company, I'm going to plug you. I'm intentional. I'm not going to connect you with somebody who's just slacking. Like, I want somebody that's going to be a producer, because obviously, like I said, it's the reciprocity of the business. If I see this person is a potential go-getter, but like, you know what, I see a lot in this guy. You need to connect with this guy, and they really appreciate it. And that's in all areas, whether it's insurance, whether it's lending, whether it's, an inspector, a roofer. Like, I'm literally making those intentional connections.
We mentioned offline that I had a time in the last week where I had a chance to just check you out online, follow you on Instagram, see the type of things you're doing on social media. Mm-hmm. And I want our audience to know that Ms. Moore is truly an educator. Your IG handle is Tomi Talks Title. So for those in our audience that don't follow you on Instagram, could you just share with our audience about some of the things that you discuss on Instagram, some of the content that you create?
Sure, yeah.
And what was the foundation and the motivation for you to educate the masses about a title partnership in that way? Because all title companies don't do that type of thing.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we get to be ourselves here at NPR Title. and so, I'm not filtered. Jerry doesn't look and see what I'm going to post. But she had the vision of Tomi Talks Title, hey, let's talk about title. But she didn't give me okay, well, this is what you're going to talk about. Well, when I came into this industry, I had a little bit of mortgage and sales background, but I didn't know title. And so I start to educate myself on title. And with me educating myself on title, I'm going to give people what I know. I'm going to always give it back to you, because, those are gems, those that helps their businesses as well. And then oftentimes I see agents come into the title company, and they just think we're here just to, to do the closing. They don't even know what the title process is at all. And when I tell them about a cloud on a title, and, I'm telling them about affidavit of heirship, and I start throwing all these terms, and they're like, wait, what? Well, I thought you were just going to do the closing, and that's it. Well, yeah, we're going to do the closing, but once the cloud has been removed, if there's a lien on the property, the things that I talk about on that platform, and although they're very short, and I've recently tried to move over to YouTube so I can talk a lot longer to educate more, because that 90 seconds seems to go fast, but obviously we live in a scrolling society, so we want it to be a quick lesson. But whatever I try to give out, it's definitely going to be to help those agents. I don't put out any fluff at all. Like, this is to help you. So if you didn't watch it, you still don't know, when you come into this office, I'm gonna need you to do your research to help.
The great thing about having Coach Austin on with us this week, Ms. Moore, is that he's built his business and his brand on education as well. Coach Austin is really active on Instagram, really active on Clubhouse. And I want to ask this question of you, Coach, because with you both being such big advocates of education for the public and education for the masses, how fulfilling is it that you're able to give and educate the masses without feeling like you're requiring them to give you something in exchange? How fulfilling is it when people meet both of you all in the flesh, that they tell you how much they've learned from you simply from watching you on Instagram or listening to you on Clubhouse? Because I believe so many entrepreneurs undervalue the free giving of the time, the donating of your energy, that, like you said before, Ms. Moore, the reciprocal paying it forward. And this question is for both of you. How fulfilling is that when people who watched you online meet you in the flesh and just thank you for that type of sacrifice and that giving from that standpoint?
Answer, please. You sure?
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
For me, it's that I didn't see this coming response that I get from people. They'll remember stuff I said, like, you remember that? And so on those days when it's like, I don't feel like doing this live, I'm not in it, but it's like, it's not for me. It's like, I wish I would have known this when I was in Lubbock, Texas, going to Ports to Plains, or different places I've been. I wish I'd had that in my ear. So that promotes me to just give it away. I mean, I got so much, and you can probably agree with this, Tommy. You got so much you can give away. It's like, man, just give it, because it's better to give it and let them go with some perspective, especially in real estate, especially coming from us, because we give a different lens. And if you can get that reality to it, for me, when people come back and say it, I mean, it really does invigorate me. I mean, it's almost like my own ROI. I don't ask for it, but when you get it, it's like, wow, they really took that. So when I do give information, I'm very conscious of, okay, somebody's listening, so let me be as spot on as possible, give my real world expertise, good, bad, or indifferent, stutter or not, whatever, and that way they can take it and run with it, and really being spiritual about it. Let God take it. He'll let me be the vessel, and that word will go out there, and it's blessing people to this day. So it just really makes me feel good that people actually take it and run with it. So I'm excited when anytime anybody says anything back to me.
Tommy, do you get a similar response when you're out and about?
I do. And then I'm actually quite surprised, because like Coach said, I'm like, oh, here we go. I gotta record this. And people are like, how do you come up with your content? Usually it's on the fly, like literally on the fly. I'll get my, I usually use my lip gloss and like, hey, do this Tommy Talks title real quick. Last week, I believe I talked about the forbearance moratoriums expiring. A lot of agents were talking about like, oh, there's no inventory, oh, this, oh, that. And I'm like, well, do you realize forbearance moratoriums have expired? And I'm like, have you looked at it? Like, what is that? And then when I started telling them that information, I'm like, well, how do you know this? Well, I used to work for a big bank, back in 2010, 2011, and I would go and foreclose on people's homes. I was there to represent the bank. And it was like, oh, wow. So you really know this. And I'm like, yeah, here it is. And this is information. Okay, let me give you the game. You create you a flyer, you go door knocking, whether it's your neighbor. I said, somebody's home is about to be foreclosed on and they don't know what to do. And so you offer them these solutions. Now you have come in as a solutions expert and not just a real estate agent. And they're like, wait, what? And, and so they're really surprised, of the information that, I'm able to give them. And so when they come to me and like, oh my gosh, you really helped me with that talk. And I'm like, oh, I did. Okay, well, I guess I better do it next week.
No, I'm here to tell you, and I want to make sure I give you your flowers publicly, because what you and the other ladies at NPR are doing is serving as an inspiration for that next generation of entrepreneurs, business women, as well as businessmen.
Yes.
And I want to ask you, when you think back to your childhood and your upbringing, was there a member of your family or inner circle that served as that type of lighthouse or that type of motivating spirit for you, the same way you may serve it for those in the next generation that watch you online?
Yes, and I had to do a little thinking about this one. It was like my Uncle Ural. He's a retired senior master sergeant of the Air Force. And he was always a really hard worker. And, you know, he was a master in like Taekwondo or something, like, but whatever, he's always become like a, you know, he's like master it, whatever it is. And but he also owned a Bell's Bond service back in Longview, and he also owned several real estate properties. And not only, you know, as an investor, but to give back to the community, because he grew up in South Longview. And coming from nothing, he wanted to make sure that, you know, not only is he leaving a legacy for his children, but he's also set an example for everybody. So that's the person that I actually looked up to, because number one, I saw him get out of Longview and accomplish so much. And then although he, you know, he retired back home, he gave back to the community. So he didn't forget where he came from.
You know, man, I thank you so much, because your transparency and your candor is what's going to connect with the members of our audience, because no matter how often we have talented guests, I never take it for granted that there's someone in our audience that's going to be inspired to make change.
Right.
Every week from hearing the messages that people like yourself, Ms. Moore, are providing. So I want to thank you so much for what you do, because as business owners, entrepreneurs, and those in service industries, we don't always get those pats on the back when we need them.
Right.
Because they can be challenging out here sometimes.
Yeah.
And I want to give you a chance to share with our audience about any upcoming events, anything that you guys are headlining, sponsoring, or spearheading.
Okay.
Because I want to give everyone in our audience the opportunity to meet, greet, and interact with Ms. Tomi Moore in person, if at all possible. So, is there anything coming up on the horizon that you can share with our audience, Ms. Moore?
Well, we have not necessarily nailed down a date, but we will be in Houston as we're growing our second office in Houston. But we're also bringing along a special guest. Fingers crossed, I'm speaking into existence. Nikki Watson, who's was featured on HGTV. She's like one of the biggest home stagers in the country. And so she's going to come down with us as well. But we would definitely love to meet and greet everyone. And I definitely would love to help any realtor that I can, especially if you're really serious about your business, not just being a realtor, but about your business.
You know, thank you so much, man, because there's going to be people who have worked with you, people that have partnered with you, but haven't had an opportunity to learn about you in this type of format.
Right.
So that candor and transparency, I'm sure you're enlightening people to some things about yourself and the business that they may not have even known, considering that they may have worked with you before and known you for a lot of years. And that's the great thing about this platform, is because we pride ourselves here at the Prime Real Estate Network of connecting like-minded business people, like-minded entrepreneurs, and those that want to close the wealth gap in this country and help those that have been disenfranchised, those who have been not educated about the way finances work, how real estate works, how business is handled in this country. And this is for both of you all. Thank you from myself, everyone here at our podcast, and those in the greater real estate community as a whole, because no matter how challenging things can seem on an individual basis, I believe it's meetings like this, interviews like this, coming together that can get people who've been sitting on the couch to be like, wait, let me shave, let me put a suit on, let me get out here and get after it. So I want to thank you so much. And Ms. Moore, do you have any parting words for our audience before we sign off for this week? Because I want you to have an opportunity to speak to our audience directly.
All right. Well, all I like to say is just stay positive. You know, the market is changing, and whether it's for an investor, whether it's for a real estate agent, don't think that you're in this alone. A lot of people tend to like just to internalize. I know I do it often. Like if if I'm having a bad day, I just stay in the house. But reach out to somebody, anybody. Call me. Send me a message on Instagram to help you with whether it's with your business, whether it's something personal. I'm a full time single mother, so I know the struggles of a lot of things, but just stay positive in anything that you do.
That's great. I want to thank you so much. I want to tell you this, and this is something I mean from the bottom of my heart. Please keep us in the fold. Keep us tapped in with you. We're going to follow you. Anytime you need anything, we're here for you. You have a seat here with me anytime.
Okay, thank
If
you.
you would like to come, if you would like to come back, co-host with me, I would love to have you, because this is something kind of like what you mentioned before. We're paying this forward.
Right.
We want to keep passing this baton so that everyone who has the opportunity to meet and interact with us have an opportunity to make their business as great as it can be. So thank you so much, Ms. Moore. And
Absolutely.
until
Thank
next
you.
time, Queen, thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
Yo, Coach, man, goodness gracious, man. Her energy was infectious. It was just hopping off the screen, man.
Yeah, I felt it. Got me more energized for my day. Got me actually thinking about a few things. So yeah, she's a rare gem, but a good example to the
What's
business
going on
community
with
at a whole.
What's going on with you this week, Coach? I know you said you got some things going on, but please just enlighten our audience. Let them know what you have on deck, what's coming up in the near future, and how they should go about interacting. And will they have any opportunities to meet you in person in the near future?
No doubt. We're going to be doing an event in Atlanta. June 3rd is the soft date right now. It's going to be a full 2-day workshop with myself and another colleague. I'll bring his name up later. He's heavy in that Section 8 space. So we'll be educating in that and about the business of real estate, just the topic that we talked about today. I'm going heavier into the business development side of our accelerator program, onboarding clients into that space, and going to the port as soon as I leave here. So getting into those spaces more in depth, more involved in that. Going to be at Prairie View. We start speaking, and I'll be speaking here in Houston at the Prairie View Spring Campus starting next month. We'll get those days together. So the things you see me do on IG, we'll be doing that in real time. So small business owners can come out, and I would really want to put that out a lot because they pay me to do it, but it's technically a free resource for the small business community. So I definitely want folks to be able to come out and see me in person and watch us walk through that. I think it's going to be like a 4-week boot camp that we'll do with the city of Houston, with the Greater Houston Procurement Forum as well. So a lot of good things that's coming up, and we want to take this thing to the streets and give real world examples of what you've seen me do historically on these social media platforms.
It's great because the things that you're doing will really help take a small business owner to the level where they can do business with government entities, partner with other practices. And one of the things, Coach, and this is something that I would like for you to just share before we sign off, how important it is for entrepreneurs to understand that they don't have to start their businesses from scratch. One of the things that I think you do that is a godsend is that you educate people on how to acquire existing businesses. One day, Coach, we're going to have an entire session about just that subject. But just how could you just share in closing how passionate you are about that sector of business building from your standpoint?
I'm passionate. I mean, it almost like makes my hair stand up because being in business as long as I have, I've done my own startups. I help people with startups. In some fashions, you may have to be a startup, but there's somewhere that you can actually acquire a business that has 10, 15, 20 years of backing, tax returns, cash flow statements, staff even. And we understand we don't have to continue working in that business. Someone already is. And we talk about generational wealth. Well, scripturally, that wealth has been put up for us. You can change ownership. You can still remain an owner and have millions of dollars in revenue at your disposal. If our communities did that, we turn our wealth upside down and we don't have to reinvent anything. And when we understand just business, and we talk about business today, I'm so passionate about that because it makes the wealth gap go away like that. We can have all that wealth at our disposal, and we're smart. We're very intuitive. We're very educated. And now we can understand how business works in that space. Now we can take that revenue and expand and grow. Let our kids see it. Let the community see it. We got taxpayer dollars right there. So, man, I'm as passionate about it because it helps us accelerate the time that we often think, man, we missed it. It's too late. No, the baby boomers are retiring. So those businesses, there's more businesses for sale at very attractive prices than there are people to buy them. I could say people could probably own 1 or 2 businesses themselves.
Look,
And it's
Coach,
not as hard as we think, sir.
No, man, thank you so much, man, because that message, I'm sure, is so well received. I promised everyone in the audience last week when we had you that every week you sit in with us, we try to give them another nugget. So, Coach, man, thank you so much, man. These insights that you provide are things that they're not putting on television. You don't see master classes advertised on Facebook about this type of subject matter. So I want to let everyone know, Coach John Austin is an expert. Follow him on Instagram. Check him out. Hey, when he starts doing those speaking engagements at Prairie View, everybody gets season tickets and being there every time, because these are the type of educational nuggets that can, like you said before, create generational wealth for you, your family, now and into the future. So, Coach, man, hey, man, thank you so much. Everyone on the network, take some time. If this is your first time seeing the Prime Real Estate Network, check our channel out on YouTube. Subscribe, like, share these episodes. Please let everyone know that there are people out there that want to see you win, and they are here on the Prime Real Estate Network every week on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Play, and everywhere podcasts you can hear podcasts. So on behalf of myself, Ric Davis, Coach John Austin, and the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks, big huge shout out. We want to thank everyone for tuning in this week. And until next week on the Prime Real Estate Network podcast, everyone out there, please be safe and be blessed.